night, this time, it was not silent. The storm was tearing the sky apart, ripping through the darkness. And that night, 40 Turkic warriors were marching toward the heart of an empire. Their goal was not just to capture a man, it was to awaken a nation, and the price was death. In the 7th century after Christ, the Göktürk Khaganate had fallen. The Turks were now under the rule of the Tang dynasty. A people who once shook the steppe now lived under the shadow of another power. But the steppe has a memory. It does not forget. This story is not a legend. It is recorded in ancient Chinese chronicles. The tradition of history that began with Sima Qian continued into the Tang era, the Jutang Shu, and the Shan Tang Shu. Both clearly mention this event. The names may change, but the story remains the same. In Chinese records, he is called Xie Shi Shuai, but the Turks remember him by another name, Kürshad, the man who refused captivity. The Tang dynasty, in order to control the Ashina lineage, gave them positions. Turkic men served in the army even as officers. Turkic women became dancers, musicians, and performers in the palace, and some became part of politics through marriage. So this was not a sudden rebellion. For days, for weeks, perhaps for months, it was planned, whispered, carefully chosen. 40 men, all warriors, all loyal, and all ready to die. The plan was clear. Emperor Taizong would leave the palace at night. This information came from Turkic officers within the army. An ambush would be set on the road, and the emperor would be captured. After that, he would be taken to the Central Asian steppes and exchanged for the captive Turks. This act would ignite the entire steppe. But that night, the sky made its decision. The storm began. Rain pounded the earth. The wind howled against the city walls. And the emperor did not leave the palace. In an instant, everything changed. The plan collapsed. They could have retreated. But this was their last chance. And the decision was made. The target changed. The palace would be attacked. 40 Turkic warriors at midnight moved in silence and infiltrated the palace of Chang'an. The first guards fell without a sound. The gates opened, and they reached the inner courtyard. But now, there was no more secrecy. The Imperial Guard was waiting for them, and inside the palace was Taizong. To reach him, a brutal battle began, but the alarm had been raised. From a nearby military camp, reinforcements were already on the way. The 40 were no longer 40, but none of them retreated. They could not reach the emperor. Time was running out, and now they had to withdraw. Fighting, they made their way to the stables. They seized horses, but the northern gate was already blocked. The road to the steppe was closed. There was no other choice. They turned south, into the darkness, into the unknown. Chinese cavalry was on their trail. The storm was growing stronger. The roads were mud. The night was heavy. And then, the final obstacle appeared, the Wei River. It had overflowed. The waters would not allow passage. The bridge had been destroyed by the storm. There was no escape. Kürshad and his warriors stopped for the last time. Swords were drawn. Under the rain, on the riverbank, the final battle began. One by one, they fell, but not one of them turned back. Not one tried to flee. And in the end, Kürshad remained alone. Legends say Erlik Khan offered him the water of death. Kürshad drank it without hesitation. He leaned onto his horse's mane, rested his head. In his right hand, his sword was still held tight. His left hand fell silently. Kürshad was dead. But he had not fallen from his horse. He was dead, but he was not defeated. When the storm faded, none of them were standing. This rebellion, which struck fear into the Chinese dynasty, laid the foundation for the second Göktürk Khaganate that would rise years later. History does not always remember the victors. Sometimes it remembers those who resist. That night, 40 men who knew they would never return set out on their path. And to the steppe, they left a message. A Turk does not live in captivity.
Kürşat erler sol erge ölse bile sönmez mi? Temir kapı karşıda arasında bir ömür, bir adımdan kayıp pasları bu yolda yok artık dönür. Tınışlık bir ansındı, temir seske bölündü. Kara tünde kılıççılığı birden cerge töküldü. Kırık yürektir bana karşı olmeden atıldı. Kürşad atı sol anda tağdırga yazılıp kaldı.